Hello, I'm Gabrielle Urevich, and today I will be demonstrating the vocabulary literacy strategy of List Group Label, specifically for a 7th grade art classroom. Students are first given a topic, or in this case, an image to think about. With this topic or image in mind, students will begin to list all of the words that they can think of or relate to this topic or image. Once students have listed all of the words that they can think of in regards to the topic that they've been given, they'll then be able to put these words into categories or groups. Once the students have grouped their words, they will then assign a name to them or label each category as the strategy states. List Group Label is a great way to get students thinking about their background knowledge and a topic before they read and learn new things about it. This literacy strategy also gives students the opportunity to use and practice your content-specific vocabulary. Additionally, List Group Label works wonderfully as a diagnostic assessment. Because this strategy is typically used as a pre-reading strategy, you'll be able to determine what information students do or do not already know about the topic or the upcoming lesson they are about to learn. For this lesson specifically, I will be demonstrating the List Group Label strategy in the context of a 7th grade art classroom. I will be using the Missouri Visual Arts State Standard Respond 8A for 7th grade, which says, interpret art by analyzing art-making approaches, the characteristics of form and structure, relevant contextual information, subject matter, and use of media to identify ideas and mood conveyed. The topic I will be giving my students is the artist Faith Ringgold, specifically using her quilt Tar Beach No. 2. Tar Beach No. 2 is a quilt that tells a story both with written words and illustration. The image of the artwork will be too small for the students to be able to read the story at this point in time, but this is because this is a pre-reading strategy, so you don't want them to be able to get the full story yet. This will allow students opportunity to use their critical thinking skills to determine what they think is going on with the story based on what they can see, just using the illustrations. Students will have the opportunity to interpret both the meaning and the elements of principles of design used in this artwork, so it will give them plenty of opportunity to use content-specific vocab. After students have completed the activity, they'll then be able to read the story that is written on the quilt and compare what they came up with and if they would change anything after reading it, how accurate they were. This is Faith Ringgold's Dancing at the Louvre. The first thing for the strategy we're going to do is list any words that we think of when we look at this picture. So I might look and, first think what's going on in the picture. Well, I know that this is the Mona Lisa. It's supposed to be that, so I might write that down. I might look and see that there is text on this. I might write that there's, text, or that there is patterns around there. Or there's also, there's a bunch of red. There's lots of red in the quilt. There's also some blue going on. There's also, there's texture in the frames. There's texture in the floor. So we can write that down. Can also put that there is horizontal line, there's vertical line, So once we, you can go on as long as you would like, list out as much as you can, but once you feel like you've covered everything, you can go in and look at your vocab words you've come up with, and you're going to start to group them. So you might say, you might take pattern, horizontal, vertical, and line, and you group those together. So we'll go ahead and do that. They're grouped now. We can take red and blue and group them, and you go so on. You would probably have more things listed, so you'd be able to make more groups, but then you'll look at the groups that you've created and then ask yourself, why did I put pattern, horizontal, vertical, and line together? Well, they're all elements of design. So you go ahead and label that. And why you go to the next group and ask yourself, why did I put red and blue together? Well, because they're colors. So you go ahead and label that, and so on. Okay, this is Flag Story Quilt by Faith Ringgold. So what I'm going to have you do is list any vocabulary terms you can think of, or just anything that you think of whenever you look at this piece. So what are some things that you're seeing?
So first I see the color red.
Okay.
And
What else do you see?
tie-dye.
Tie-dye, yes.
I see a lot of words.
Words, yes.
Like a story.
Story.
I also see a lot of purple and blue. There's a border around it. And it's gold. I see a lot of like horizontal lines with the flag. And then I feel like the story is horizontal. No, not horizontal, sorry, vertical. The story's going vertical, like the words are, but the flag's going horizontal.
Okay.
And then, in like what's like the star part of the flag, there are like these faces,
Yes, good.
and they're going in a diagonal direction. And that's about it
Got
I
it.
can think of.
Okay, well then we can go ahead and group these into different categories. So looking at, the list that we've come up with, what are some things that you could, you would put together in a group?
I would put together, let's do like the colors first. So like red,
Red, we can do that.
purple,
Purple,
blue, gold.
gold, yes. Okay, so there's one group. Let's go ahead and make another group.
Let's do diagonal,
Okay.
vertical, and horizontal.
Horizontal, perfect.
Could border go in that group?
We can put it there. And do you think there are any more
Maybe
groups we can put?
story and words can go in the same group.
And words. Is that all we want to put in that group?
Maybe.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then maybe flag and faces.
Yes, okay.
And I don't know if I think tie-dye should go with colors or not. Like the red, purple, blue, gold, or if it's somewhere else.
I think either could work. We could either put it in there or just leave it.
Let's put it in there. Because I feel like
Okay.
tie-dye is like multiple.
Yes, okay. So now that we did our list, came up with all of our list, we put all of them into different groups. So we got 4 different groups, so now we're gonna go ahead and label each of these groups. So let's start with story and words. How would we label that?
I would label that as either like text or I don't know.
Text, I think text works. Okay. Then let's move to this one. Red, purple, blue, gold, and tie-dye.
Those would be colors.
Be colors, yes. Okay, let's move on to this one. Diagonal, vertical, horizontal, and border.
Those would be lines.
Lines, yep, different types of lines. And then last one we have flag and faces.
I would say objects.
Objects, yes. Awesome, and that is how you do list group label. So we're looking at students' finished work from their UDO. I would do this as a standalone assignment, kind of using it as a diagnostic assessment. And because I would be using it as a diagnostic assessment, I wouldn't want to take it as anything besides just a completion or participation grade. So I just would kind of, look at, some of the stuff that he's written down for the list. So like he has, flower, border, blue, red, gold, line, city, texture, people, buildings, family, all kinds. He's listed a good amount of things, so that's good. Whenever he went to group the things, he put, blue, gold, red, green, white together. Those are all colors, so that works. He's got his other group over here, principles of design. With this one, actually, he has flower, border, pattern, texture, and line all put together, where with this one, border, pattern, texture, and line would work, but flower doesn't really fit in this category. So we'd want to go ahead and circle that, and flower would actually fit better in the category has a subject, so we'd want to, mark that he'd want to put that there. And maybe talk to him about how that, his logic does make sense, where it would make sense that you'd want to put patterns, because as you can see in the picture, there are patterns. The flower, it does make a pattern, but the flowers themselves aren't a principle of design. And, we can look at the other subjects. Those are all subjects, that checks out. And word, story, those are all text, so that also checks out. So we'd go ahead and give him a star because he completed it and participated. With that, we would, the student would be able to show what vocab they know. So like we can see, you know, he understands what color is, he knows what texture is, pattern, line, and he understands that those are all principles of design. We also, throughout the year, you know, if this is a thing that I did, you know, as we introduced different artists, use different ones throughout the year, I'd be able to see the students' growth. So as the year went on, you know, the list would get more extensive as they learned more vocab words, and so would, you know, the grouping would maybe get, you know, into more groups. So we might group blue and green together because they're cool colors, and might do you know, red and gold because they're warm colors, instead of just doing colors. Yeah, and you would measure the effectiveness of this just by observing student growth throughout the year. And the more they fill out, the better.